I was also struck by the fact that Kessler kind of casually said that an abortion by a 10-year-old is pretty rare. And what did you find when you looked into that claim, Laura?
He actually cited in his piece, in his original piece, he wrote, the Columbus Dispatch reported that in 2020, 52 people under the age of 15 received an abortion in Ohio. So my colleague and I were reading that, and she was like, well, that's like one person a week under the age of 15 in Ohio getting an abortion. And that's abortions that like are reported. And that's during the pandemic when a lot of abortion clinics and other medical care was closed. So I don't think one a week is rare. And I believe that the Columbus Dispatch has since done some follow-up reporting showing that the numbers are actually higher than that, post pandemic times. So I don't know. It's not as rare. It's not nearly as rare as people want to believe. And I understand not wanting to believe it because it's so horribly too good to be true.
Right. And you also, in your piece, you talk about how the age of puberty has actually become lower because of COVID. Studies suggest that.
Yeah, so this was some people were like, why did you include this in the piece? And I included it in the piece because I thought it was interesting. I have a daughter who is almost 9, and I had just been reading. I saw some studies recently and some reporting recently suggesting that COVID appears to have increased early onset puberty around the world. So the reason that I included this in the story is because I think people don't want to believe that a 10-year-old or a child younger than 10 could get pregnant. They want to think it's just not possible biologically. And if puberty is happening earlier, then 10-year-olds are not going to be the youngest girls that we see getting pregnant. It can be 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. So 8-year-olds getting their period makes this possible, and it makes it, it makes the stories that I call unbelievable in the headline, more possible.
Right.
That's why I wanted to mention that in the piece, because I think a lot of people still think that getting your period is something that happens when you're 12 or 13. And so of course you couldn't get pregnant before that. That's crazy. And that's just clearly not the case.
Right. I mean, even when I heard it, as much as I'm inclined to believe something like this would happen, I was like hoping that it wasn't true because it was just so horrible.
Yeah.
But of course I wouldn't have written a piece like suggesting it wasn't true based on that.
Yeah. You could just wait. I mean, you could just not publish the piece.
Right.
That's what I end up coming back to is this doesn't need to be the thing you decide you're going to fact check.
Or you can wait until you can fact check in a way to prove. Yeah.
Right.
And so, I mean, it is really unbelievable that it's still up there.
Yeah, especially since, most people are not going to go back and read a correction. I think this story may have been big enough that when the arrest happened, that probably made bigger headlines than this story did. But at that point, it had already been picked up in lots of other places. Most people are just not going to go back and correct the first impression that they had.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only heard about it because Democracy Now! Interviewed you, Laura. Like, I only heard that it was actually true. So I hadn't heard about the arrest outside of that. And most people don't watch Democracy Now!